In 2015, pro-life activist David Daleiden got abortion providers to admit that they sold the dismembered body parts of the babies they killed to medical researchers.
We could pay you $1,000 up to $1,500 for a liver.
Yeah.
Because that's in such high demand.
I think financial incentive from you guys is going to be like, to the people we have to get this approved, we'll be very happy about it.
Like I said, New York City is worth going for, and I don't know that they partner with anybody. To me, that, other than UCSF, is the largest site of 20 to 24-week cases that have not gotten feticide. And I know because I'm a provider there too.
He even got those abortionists to admit they'd be willing to kill the babies in such a way that the infants' bodies would be preserved for a higher payout from the macabre medical research community.
They don't understand that the layers are there. A provider maybe being a little creative in their making sure that there's intact specimen, because that's what really the high dollar amount. We can pay incredible amounts for intact specimen.
Yeah. So, like, you mean completely intact D&E?
Not all.
Yeah.
But yes, but some.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a case-by-case basis.
Exactly.
We just do whatever's safest and best.
Right, right,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, so if we can do an intact D&E, it's usually less traumatic for the patient. But
right,
yeah, I don't know. I think amongst our providers to like encourage more intacts for this purpose, I think would be challenging. But we certainly do intact D&Es. So.
You do.
These videos, distributed way back in 2015, changed the entire national discourse on abortion. For his trouble, Daleiden was labeled an extremist by the left, but this passionate advocate for the unborn was undeterred by their smears. What says radical abortion extremism, says David, more than Kamala Harris ordering a raid to seize undercover videos of Planned Parenthood abortion doctors selling livers for thousands of dollars from late-term preemies delivered alive, all to cover it up. Hashtag Planned Parenthood sells baby parts. It got worse for Daleiden. In California, a state official by the name of Kamala Harris decided to employ lawfare against him for making Planned Parenthood look bad. According to the New York Post, it says in October 2015, a staffer in the AG's office emailed his colleagues about Harris's desire to move forward sooner rather than later with a case against Daleiden. Harris was running for Senate in 2016 and was endorsed by Planned Parenthood while overseeing the investigation against Daleiden, which included authorizing the raid on his home. Once she was elected, Harris hired Lily Adams, the daughter of Cecil Richards. If you'll recall who that is, she's the former CEO of Planned Parenthood, to be one of her top aides. Daleiden and a colleague, Sandra Merritt, were initially charged with 15 felonies in 2017, including 1 count of conspiracy to invade privacy and 14 counts of filming people without permission. To be clear, the charges that Harris threw at him were politically motivated. No sane prosecutor would have ever charged the pro-life advocate with 15 felonies, nor would any legitimate court have taken the case. But Kamala Harris was fortunate to be in crazy California, where such shenanigans could occur. Joining me now is David Daleiden, who, on the top of being an early victim of Kamala Harris's lawfare, is also the project lead at the Center for Medical Progress. It's great to have you with us, David. And while, I remember watching your videos when it came out and having extremely heated conversations with some of my friends in California. And I couldn't understand how they couldn't be appalled with what was revealed in the videos that you captured. I mean, I was very pro-life, but it really cemented it for me personally. I remember where I was the very moment I saw your videos. But even besides that, I think one of the more even as serious aspects of your story is the political way that Kamala Harris went after you. So we're not just talking about on abortion, we're talking about whatever she disagrees with ideologically. If she is president, as we've already seen in the Biden administration, she is not afraid to go after her political or ideological enemies.
That's correct. As California Attorney General, Kamala Harris weaponized the powers of her office in order to protect the powerful special interests in the abortion industry led by Planned Parenthood, who were her chief political sponsors, and in order to cover up the absolutely barbaric crimes that they've been documented on undercover camera committing against women and children. Planned Parenthood sells the body parts of the late-term aborted babies that they kill. And all your viewers need to do is watch the latest footage that we just released last week that is part of the footage that Kamala Harris seized from my apartment 8 years ago. This is footage that Planned Parenthood has spent years and millions of dollars to cover up and make sure that the public could not see it. It's finally coming out for the first time. You can watch it on our website at centerformedicalprogress.org. And what you're going to see is it shows Planned Parenthood's abortion services director for New York City, all right, the clinical flagship of the entire Planned Parenthood network nationwide. It shows her giggling about selling late-term aborted fetal livers for $1,500 a piece and using criminal partial birth abortions in order to deliver the babies whole and alive to harvest the body parts from. It's no wonder if you watch this new footage that they have tried to bury, and that Kamala Harris weaponized the full power of the state of California to try to bury. It's no wonder why they did that, because these admissions are so shocking and so stark. There's no way for Planned Parenthood to spin it when it's this clear on undercover camera. And these are the tapes that Kamala Harris does not want you to see.
She seized them at one point. How is it now that you were able to finally release this footage?
Yeah, so fortunately, when the United States Congress, when there were multiple congressional committees that were doing full nationwide investigations of this issue when we first released the videos beginning in 2015, multiple congressional committees had investigations. The footage was subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee. So members of that committee still have access to the footage, and it's finally started to come out. We're very grateful to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for starting to release those from the investigative archives, from the subpoenaed footage that Congress was able to obtain. So ultimately, the plan that Planned Parenthood and Kamala Harris had to seize this footage and try and bury it, they've not been successful. They've tried for 8 years, but it's trying to come out again. You can see very clearly why they were trying to cover this up, why they didn't want this to come out. And it shows the level of radical abortion extremism that's present with Kamala Harris in government office, because she's willing to deploy the full power of the state to try to cover up this evidence of the most horrific, barbaric atrocities being committed against children in the womb and children being born alive in late-term abortion clinics funded by taxpayers.
David, we've seen particularly the Biden Department of Justice come after pro-life activists, even grandmas in their 70s, putting them in prison. Are you afraid that if they maintain power, they'll come for you again, since you're putting this footage out there that Kamala Harris, who is now their presumptive nominee, didn't want people to see?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't think that it's a coincidence that at the same time that Kamala Harris enters the White House in the past couple of years, that at the same time, all of a sudden you see this dramatic escalation and really skyrocketing of the weaponization of federal law enforcement to cover up barbaric criminality on the part of the late-term abortion industry and persecute peaceful pro-life advocates who are speaking out against it. That weaponization of government has skyrocketed with Kamala Harris in the White House so far as vice president, and that is a pattern of behavior for her that began with the way that she deployed her powers on behalf of Planned Parenthood and against my undercover reporting as California Attorney General 8 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that should she maintain power, that will only escalate. Look, David, thank you so much for the work you've done. I know for me personally, it was seeing your videos from 2015 that made me decide to be more vocal and outspoken about my beliefs, my pro-life beliefs. So thank you so much for your work. And I admire your bravery, because I'm not convinced they won't come for you again. But I admire your courage. And for everyone in the audience, definitely go and check out the newly released footage now, thanks to the help of Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're able to release at cmp.org, cmp.org. Thanks, David.
Thank you.